Let's picture this. It's 9:47 on a Tuesday morning. Kian, a 38-year-old software engineer, he's on a Zoom call he's barely even listening to. You know the one, project updates, Q2 roadmaps, it's just background noise. Another Tuesday. Or so he thinks. He's just nodding along, probably thinking about the code he's got to deploy after this thing is over, and then he clocks it. His director's camera just cuts off, right in the middle of a sentence, and suddenly the air gets a little cold. Something feels off. And then he sees it. A little notification pops into the corner of his screen. A calendar invite. It's for 10 a.m. in 15 minutes. The attendees, his director, and someone from HR he's never spoken to. And the subject line, it just says 2 words. Quick sync. And right there, Kian's stomach just drops through the floor. He tries to play it cool for the next 12 minutes, but his mind is just screaming. At 10:02, he clicks into the new meeting. By 10:14, he's been logged out of all his accounts. By 10:17, his security badge stops working at the door before he can even finish packing the stuff from his desk. The efficiency of it all, it's absolutely brutal. By 10:30, he's sitting in his car in the company parking lot. He's holding this small cardboard box. Inside, there's a coffee mug, a framed picture of his 2 kids, and a thick manila envelope, the severance document. He hasn't even opened it yet. In the space of less than an hour, he's just been erased. Now, what that envelope doesn't tell him is that the rules have completely changed. The entire playbook for losing your job, and more importantly, finding a new one, it's been completely rewritten. You see, the version of job loss his dad lived through, well, it's gone. And what's replaced it is a new, much harsher reality. So the first thing that just doesn't make any sense is the number that everyone keeps repeating, 4.3% unemployment. Sounds pretty good, right? It sounds like a normal, healthy economy. But that number, it's hiding a completely different and frankly broken system. Because while not a lot of people are being fired, actual hiring has collapsed. Companies, they're spooked by all the economic uncertainty, so they've just stopped creating new jobs. Think about this. Job openings have absolutely plummeted from a peak of 12 million back in 2022 down to just 6.9 million today. Meanwhile, there are 7.6 million unemployed Americans actively looking for work. I mean, you can do the math. For the first time since 2021, there are now more unemployed workers than there are open jobs in the entire country. It's become a brutal game of musical chairs where some people are guaranteed to be left standing when the music stops. And this is the market Kian just walked into, completely cold. He updates his LinkedIn profile, he polishes up his resume, and he starts applying. He calls it his application funnel, but honestly, it feels more like just shouting into the void. Because here's the brutal new math of the modern job search. A few years ago, you might send out, 15 applications to get 1 interview? Sounds about right. Today, that number is closer to 100. 100 applications for every single interview you get. The amount of effort you have to put in has just exploded, while the results have all but vanished. But where do those 100 applications even go? Well, the reality is pretty startling. More than half of them, about 55%, they're screened out by an AI filter before a human being ever even lays eyes on them. Another 20% are for these so-called ghost jobs, postings that companies put up with no real intention of actually filling. Which means only a quarter of Kian's massive effort is even entering a real competition. So okay, with the job market basically a closed door, Kian turns to the safety net. But what he's about to find is that the net itself has been shredded. And it all starts with unemployment insurance. It's basically a lottery, and whether you win or lose depends entirely on where you happen to live, your zip code. I mean, just look at this. If you lose your job in Washington state, your maximum weekly benefit is over $1,000. But if the exact same thing happens to you in Mississippi, it's just $235. Kian lives in Texas, so his max is $560 a week. That replaces only 20% of his previous income. 20%. How is anyone supposed to survive on that? But that isn't even the moment that breaks him. No, that moment comes 2 days later. He's at home, his wife Jana is at the kitchen table, and she opens an email from their insurance company. And this is the financial shock that nobody is talking about loudly enough. Because you see, on December 31st, 2025, the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, the ones that made health insurance actually affordable for millions of American families, they just expired. Congress didn't extend them, and so, overnight, premiums more than doubled. The quote for a marketplace plan for Kian's family of 4 is now $2,180 a month.
Jonna does the math in her head, not once, but twice. She can't believe it. That's over $26,000 a year just for health insurance, right after Kian lost his job and his income. They look into Cobra to maybe keep their old plan, but it's even worse. That would cost over $27,000 a year. That's the price of a brand new car every single year just to stay insured.
And this collision, right, lost income and skyrocketing costs, it creates this absolutely impossible situation. Keen and Jonna are now forced to make decisions that will quietly, slowly break their financial lives for the next decade.
This is the math. It's stark. Their total monthly income, that's Kian's unemployment check plus Jana's part-time paycheck, is about $3,800. Their core expenses, mortgage, food, that new health insurance premium is $7,800. They are $4,000 underwater every single month. His severance and their small emergency savings, that'll cover the deficit for about 6 months. Coincidentally, that's exactly how long the average job search now takes.
So Kian does what millions of Americans are now being forced to do. He looks at his 401k. Taking a hardship withdrawal, it's become terrifyingly common. It's tripled since before the pandemic. He thinks about pulling out $25,000, just to buy his family a little bit more time.
But the cost, it's devastating. You see, to get just $15,000 in cash today, he has to immediately pay $10,000 in taxes and penalties. But that's not the real cost. The real invisible price tag is the lost future growth. That $25,000, if he just left it alone, would have grown to over $120,000 by the time he retired. So the true cost of getting that money today isn't $10,000, it's over $130,000. Job loss doesn't just empty your bank account today, it punches a giant hole in your future.
Kian's struggle, it feels intensely personal, but it isn't. It's the direct result of a systemic failure. You see, the American safety net, it wasn't destroyed in some big dramatic vote in Congress. No, it was just allowed to quietly expire, one program at a time, while we were all distracted.
The enhanced healthcare subsidies, gone. Student loan relief programs, gone. The expanded child tax credit that literally cut child poverty in half, gone. Protections for renters, help for gig workers, all gone. By the time people realized they desperately needed the net just wasn't there anymore.
After 8 long, brutal months, Kian does find a new job, but he has to accept a salary that's $22,000 less than what he was making before. This has a name. It's called wage scarring. And because future raises are almost always calculated as a percentage of your current salary, starting from a lower base puts him at a permanent disadvantage. That single gap, compounded over the rest of his career, will cost him nearly $500,000 in lost future wealth.
And this really brings us to the only real lesson in all of this. The people who manage to come out of these economic shocks intact, they are almost never the ones with the highest incomes. They are the ones who did the quiet, boring, unglamorous work of preparing when times were still good. They're the ones who built the door long before they needed it.
Look, personal financial preparedness, it's not a virtue anymore. It's the only safety net that's left. The rules have changed. The system has changed. So the only question that really matters now is a personal one. The next quick sync calendar invite, it's coming. For you or for someone you love. The only question is, have you built your door?